Good evening. This is the Flicks That Church Forgot, continuing its exploration into the subject of Halloween. Tonight, we explore the usual Christian response to Halloween. Now, right at the start, I probably should say that I'm someone who enjoys Halloween. I totally get the attraction to it, right? I would really love to go all out at this Halloween coming and have a full-on Halloween party, spooky music, games, horror films, the lot, right? I get this, right? However, I don't actually do this, or at least I haven't done it yet. And the reason for this is mainly to do with the fact that it is only in the last couple of years that I've started to reassess my attitudes towards the horror culture I used to love when I was growing up. Before I was a Christian, I just used to do this all the time, right? I used to really enjoy Halloween and celebrate it, and also really watched a lot of horror films. And yet when I became a Christian, I started to meet other Christians who would say, look, this is wrong. You shouldn't be involved in something so dark. And, you've got a new identity in Jesus, so you don't want to be following this sort of stuff. And, I can actually understand why Christians might have an issue with horror and Halloween. Of course I do. I mean, we've just talked about how both things seem to revel in themes like death, and with Halloween you've got the whole divination side of things and the supernatural. And it seems to glorify the evil things of the world, where kids dress up as zombies and vampires and sometimes serial killers. Now, I'm a Christian, and I know full well that the central theme of my faith is about freedom from darkness, not stepping into darkness. Jesus came to set us free from sin, to bring us into the light and all that stuff, to give us eternal life, not to, wallow in thoughts of death. So I can sympathize with Christians who initially see Halloween as celebrating the opposite of these good things, that it's morbid and morose. It's a festival for all the bad stuff, I guess. And plenty of other Christians actually have very strong convictions in this regard. For example, last year, Tom Wilson, he was the mayor of Nuneaton, which is a place in the UK. He was asked to judge a pumpkin competition in his sort of civic duty and everything, but he refused, and he refused it on religious grounds. He said this, and I'm quoting here, "It glorifies Satan's angels and celebrates the dark side. Halloween is a pagan festival. I don't think it's appropriate to involve youngsters in this sort of thing." Now, some of you might think he's overreacting here, but I do think it's important that we need to understand the concern from where this is sort of coming from. I actually do think that most of the anti-Halloween Christians that are out there are doing it through a genuine concern for children and the spiritual health of society. I might not necessarily agree with them on how dangerous Halloween is, but I do think they seem to be coming from a good place, as it were. I honestly, I'm not so cynical and naive to think that people are just doing it to spoil your fun or spoil my fun. I actually, they're coming from a place where they want to save people from harm. They want to protect people. I mean, let me give you an example of an anti-Halloween sentiment. At the moment, I'm holding in my hand what you might call a tract. Now, a tract is a sort of piece of written work which promises to, educate and tell about a religious or a political point of view. And there are all sorts of Christian tracts that come out in Halloween time, warning of the dangers of the season. Now, let me just read some of this particular one to you. Now, it's from a company called the Christian Publishing and Outreach Group, and it's called CPO. And please realize I am not knocking this company. It's a really good organization and it provides some really excellent resources, so that's fine. But like many Christian organizations in the UK, they tend to have a very negative view of Halloween. Okay, here we go. Let me describe it to you. On the front of it is a photograph of a little kid, and he's got 3 burning torches in his hands. 2 of them are in one hand while the other is held in his right hand, as he cocks his head back and he's ready to actually eat the flames. And all around him is fire, and the writing says, in sort of bold, scary print, "Halloween is your child playing with fire." Subtle this is not, right? Listen to what it's got to say.
As a responsible parent, what do you think of Halloween? Is it just scaremongering to oppose Halloween, or is there really a danger in it? Well, the problem is that Halloween itself is a scaremongerer. It concentrates on making fun out of fear, enjoying being scared. So what's wrong with that? It's just the same buzz we get as when we have a ride on a roller coaster, you might say. But fairground rides are designed to be safe. The danger is just an illusion. It's not really there unless they are badly maintained. It's different with Halloween. Halloween is a celebration of evil, and evil really exists. It is not an illusion. And even worse, Halloween has become a celebration for impressionable kids, often at an age when they find difficulty discerning fact from fantasy. Aren't we just being overprotective? I mean, kids have got to face up to the fact that there is evil in the world sooner or later, haven't they? Another statement we often hear, but it's misleading. Kids will have enough trouble facing the real dangers of life, and have enough of them to develop their characters, without us adding fantasy fears. And another problem. Not all of the fantasies around Halloween are fantasies. Some are symbolic of real evil. Ghosts may not go woo and float around in white sheets, but there are supernatural disturbances which can cause real fear. Witches may not go around in black hats and capes anymore, but they do exist in increasing numbers. Much of the symbolism in Halloween is based on real paganism, Satanism, and other occult activities. Also, however much some people make fun of those who believe in demons, the truth is that there are many cases of spiritual oppression which psychologists cannot properly explain or treat, and only Christian exorcism has been able to set the people concerned free. What are the effects? Most kids will not be affected badly by Halloween. Most will be able to laugh it off. But what about those who hide deep-seated fears and anxieties? Apart from the distress for the child at the time, these fears can have harmful psychological effects that can stay with us into adulthood. Also, some children will develop an unhealthy interest in the occult, often exacerbated by horror videos, and then we wonder why some of them do horrible things. Of course, movie makers refuse to believe that occult films have any effect on children's behaviour, but if that is true, why are there so many copycat murders, where the murder mimics something seen in a video? After all, advertisers wouldn't bother spending thousands on TV adverts if they didn't think they had any effect. The alternative. At the end of the day, we all want the best for our kids. The best is things that are good, not evil. Christians believe that God also wants the best for us. He is not a killjoy. When he forbids any involvement in something in the Bible, it is because it is harmful. Occult activities are condemned by God, and today that includes Halloween. The Bible is clear on this.
So you can see, can't you, that there's various arguments against Halloween from a Christian perspective. And because of this rejection of Halloween, many Christians suggest that churches put on alternative events that celebrate light and positivity. Now, I don't want to necessarily argue and rail against the sorts of points of view we've just had described, because they should be considered, and maybe there may well be some good points to them that need consideration. But I do think that it's worth providing an alternative point of view to try and provide a little bit of balance. And so that's what I'm going to be doing in the next episode, exploring some alternative responses to the objections we often hear about Halloween.